Alex, konnichiwa. You know, we're big in Japan. We're very big in Japan.
Shalom.
Let's say, that's not Japan. That's Israel, for God's sakes.
Oh, Barev.
Anyway, we're getting a lot of email.
It's good to know that we're getting met by people in Japan, but these nice Japanese friends we have, and also these American. I'd like to point out our main audience is American.
I know.
As much as I love our Japanese and international audience.
All right, I have one.
Hey,
friend,
y'all.
Josh Greger, whom you know. Josh Greger is Japanese, by the way. I didn't know that.
Oh, very fun.
And he's a writer. He, like you, is a writer at the newspaper.
You know what?
What?
We've never explained how two kooks like us met.
Two nutcrackers.
Yes. We've never talked.
All right, I'm going to let you start off. You started off. How did we meet?
Well, started with my high school graduation.
Oh, God.
Where I didn't have a clue you existed. This is the point in my life where I always thought, gee whiz, it'd be cool to meet my own clone, and we'd have conversations about life. I never, ever, since I've met you, I've never had that sensation, that wish, the fantasy before. I experienced it, talking to you.
Yeah.
What happened was I had this, after my high school graduation, I had this feeling of that was such a great education. I'm so happy of what I've learned, what I've accomplished, what I've done in just high school. But now I have to do what everyone else is doing. So I'll just go to this community college, which had a program which let me go for free, privately funded, not taxpayer funded, for 2 years, books, supplies, materials, tuition, everything covered. I'll just go for 2 years and figure out what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
So I go as an undeclared, and I was a comm major. I became a comm major because I figured, hey, I can brand that to be whatever I want. If I want to do something else, I can be something else.
Right. How many years ago is this? How many years? Was it 2 years ago?
It's 2016. This is 2016.
So
I graduated from high school. I graduated from high school in spring 2016.
Okay, and the community college you went to was Santa Bumpkin City College.
Santa Barbara City College, that's right. So I went there, and my first sensation was, nice teachers.
Yeah, beautiful place, ocean.
Yeah. And my attitude was, there's huge library, there's a learning resource center. If you want to learn, you can learn.
Yeah, there's a lot of pretty people too. Yeah.
The resources are there for you to learn just about anything. Now, that feeling slowly started to chip away over time. And the first major incident was that blessed day in November. I believe it was November 6th.
Yeah.
When Donald Trump became our president.
You were on campus during that day, right?
Oh my word. There were two apolitical classes stopped everything they were doing on the syllabus to sit in a group circle where we talk about our feelings. I watched professors, not even students too, but professors crying. They on finals week they have a bunch they have therapy dogs and puppies come. They had puppies come because these snowflakes
and blowing bubbles. They blow bubbles.
These people were in tears. Students, professors. It was hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh my word! It was so. They need
psychiatrists. They need psychiatric help. These people.
So that was the first thing. Like, come on, guys, you need to get a grip here.
No, they're psychologically ill.
Hold on. I wasn't there yet. So I go through. Then I go to an English class and a philosophy class. Both of these professors. Yes, and it just so happened to be the chairman of the philosophy department, and I just so happened to.
I think I know who that is. Or
that you worked in that department, you should know who he is.
Yes.
So I'm now I want to be very clear. I've always known what I believed and why I believe it. Yeah. So a lot of times, this professor in particular very much enjoyed slicing up and serving cupcakes. People who kind of sort of believed in God.
The modern word is snowflake.
Yeah, exactly. And then he loved ripping them apart. He loved it. But
on what question?
On whether God existed.
So he got pleasure out of taking the God away from little snowflakes who had
little cupcakes. Yes,
cupcakes. Yeah.
This is pretty. He's like Richard Dawkins. but
You're
far more
taking my God away from me.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I had an extreme, just as he had a sort of sadistic pleasure doing that.
It may have been sexual.
It may have been. I had great pleasure really shaming that guy. Intellectually, I won't use that word. Intellectually shaming that individual in front of the whole class. Because this is in one of the biggest auditoriums in the school, and I'm sitting in the front row. My hand is raised. The whole class knows my hand is up. I have an objection. Right. And, he can pretend to not see. And he did it multiple times because he knew he was going to get a spanking if he called on me. I never would talk out of turn.
Excellent.
Sometimes other students would, object to what I had to say, and I'd raise my hand and want to respond back, and he would ignore me. Right. But I mean, students would come up to me later and say, I had no idea. Like, for example, I'll give a very brief example. He'd talk about why would God put the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden? Why would he do that? That's so evil of him to set them up to fail. And I point out a simple truth. If he didn't, then humanity would have no free will. They would have no choice. But
I think he was talking about his sexuality.
I know. I mean, I'm not going to wrap it up in nuances.
Why would God give me sexual impulses?
Well, whatever. Just pointing out.
The apple is only a symbol of sexuality.
I mean, for the intents of this particular confrontation, it was what it was. I'm not going to wrap it up in nuances, but students were just shocked, like, wow, that's an interesting point. That that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Why was the apple there? Yeah.
Why God gave him the choice in the first place? So
he's evil. The God must be evil. Yeah.
Well, no, it would be evil of him to not give him free choice anyway.
So, am I right in saying that you challenged him on every point?
As many as I could.
Okay.
Because it's not right to object to everything.
So we're about halfway through our podcast here. How did you get to meet me?
Well, this all sets the stage because at some point I just got so tired of his filth. It's not even nonsense. It's not even lies. It's straight up filth. This guy really had problems, and he was a fair representative of most professors at that school. Mm-hmm. The problem to me was that the students are honest people that are trying to make their way through life. Most of them are. And they have no place to hear an opposing idea. Other than me, they would have never heard any opposition to that professor. Nobody ever spoke against him, period.
Because they were products mostly of public school
Marxist professors. They didn't have their own opinions yet. They didn't know how to formulate their own opinions.
No, they had opinions, but they were indoctrinated by their teachers in high school.
Yeah, it's their professor's opinion, not their own. So anyway, I said this, people need conservative ideas. I don't really care if to convert people. That wouldn't be my mission. It's just to say there is this set of objections to this orthodoxy or dogma that's being taught. So
you wanted a real college where opposing ideas are welcome.
Exactly.
What did you do about that?
I turned in my final exam for that philosophy course. I marched right to the information office and said, I want to start a club. They said, pointed me in the direction of this one administrator, Office of Student Life. Sat down with her. She was very, very nice, very friendly to me. Gave me all these forms. And I told her I want to start a conservative club. Right. And she was extremely reasonable. She goes, "Oh, okay. You'll need a professor to sign on for you." That really scared me. It was like a left hook out of nowhere. So cause in that moment, I had the calculation. Okay, I need a real conservative to back. It doesn't even have to be a conservative. It just has to be someone that's going to take my back. It's going to protect my back and have my back. Right. So, and the best hope I have is a conservative, not yeah, exactly. So I lean closer and I say to her in a very quiet voice, is there anybody on campus who is remotely right of center? And without a second hesitation, she goes, "Oh, Mark McIntyre." And, it just so happens Professor McIntyre has been a notorious figure, even though I was apolitical. I was not involved in anything. I promise you, for my first year, I had no involvements with any club, organization, group, nothing. Zilch, nada. But your profile is pretty notorious, to say the least, on campus. I saw you debating people and, all that stuff. And I met you in the hallway, actually, once or twice. And I just assumed that you were, a cultural Marxist, whatever, because we never really talked to each other in substance.
Right.
But, I was able to find your email. I shot you an email, and I was thinking to myself, please at least just be a George W. Bush conservative. I could work with that. Somebody who's at least that conservative. And then, you said, you actually responded back to me. And, let's meet up and let's have lunch at table number 9.
Right.
And
in the cafeteria. I remember sending you an email and asking you what is it that you, before I accepted being the faculty advisor for your club, which was then called the Open Mind Project. It later morphed into the Critical Thinking Project. I asked you in the email, I said, what do you hope to accomplish with your club? And you responded immediately with an email. I'll never forget it. You said, I want to be the most.
That wasn't an email. That was face to face.
Well, that was face to face, right. But no, I think there's an email. I'll have to check my email.
Yeah, check your email.
I think there's an email. But anyway, you said, I want to be the most controversial and hated person on campus. And I said,
you added controversial.
Yeah, and I said to you, that position has already been taken by me.
And it was at that moment we both realized
there's one soul and two bodies.
Well, yes, that, and that it was going to be a very, very wild ride.
Yeah. Now, folks out there, especially you young folks, if you're trying to start a club and you're trying to push back against cultural Marxism in your community, listen to this podcast, because Alex has just explained to you the process by which much of this has to do with fate, divine providence, if you will. Okay, I didn't know Alex. I didn't know anything about Alex until he emailed me, and I, as fate would have it, I said, okay, I'll meet with you in the cafeteria, and we'll go over this thing.
Now, when I met with you, you said that you've had about once a semester, you have somebody ask you to do something like this, a conservative club.
Well, usually, no. Well, I have been asked to advise. At the time that I accepted yours, I was already advisor to 3 different clubs: economics club, political thinking club, and a year without war club.
There's a story to that.
Run by the professor that you hated.
I never hated the guy. I felt bad for the professor, actually.
No, I know. You don't hate people, but the thing is that if you're out there wanting some direction and guidance about what to do when you feel overwhelmed by the fact that peer pressure is sending you in a wrong direction that violates your conscience, that violates what you know to be morally and politically correct, listen to this podcast. I mean, Alex did all. We would not be talking to each other. We would not be doing the podcast if you didn't take the initiative of reaching out and trying to find a faculty advisor so you could set your club up.
Not even a conservative. I didn't even care if it was a conservative.
I don't consider myself a conservative. That's the funny part, is that
depends on the definition.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I don't conform to the common definition. I'm more of a Roger Scruton, Russell Kirk conservative. I'm not a
full-time liberal.
I'm not a Mitt Romney conservative or John McCain. I'm not any of those conservatives. Okay, I'm not even a Bill Buckley conservative. Okay, really, seriously, you didn't know that, and I didn't tell you. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter.
It did.
All I wanted to do was to make sure that you had a place where real critical thinking could happen with your student group. And very soon you drew around yourself about 14 or 15 dedicated students that would come every single week, sometimes twice a week. Actually, you had 2 sessions. Remember that? You had 2 sessions.
2 a week. 2 a week.
And they were well attended, and you let the students, you presided, but you let the students vote on the agenda. And then you would simply play parliamentarian. You would simply play Speaker of the House. and you would very gently guide them into their discussion. And it was one of the most successful new clubs that
it was only running for 1 year. That was it.
And you were nominated for best new club of the year. Of course, you lost out to the robotics club. I think.
Yeah, I believe so. So. Yes. Well, I mean, I won't get into that. It was an unfortunate political.
We're gonna revisit this, because then we're going to talk about part 2 of not only how did we meet, but what are we doing? Why are we doing it together, right?
or even better, what we did with this club together.
Oh yes, of course, yes.
Cheers.
Cheers, Alex. Bye bye. That was good. That was good.